I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet.
Boom! Welcome to the Moose Vu Sesh, where we are giving hope in a different dose. I'm the Black Moose.
And I'm Vu Fam.
And we have an awesome guest.
Yep.
In this episode, we have Alex Simak.
Yeah, and that is him in the flesh here.
Thank you,
Come
fellas.
Join us in our sesh.
Now, I remember notably the first time when I met you, I was at a concert for the Bankstown Church at the time.
Yeah.
And that's when Danny first came to Christ. Yeah.
Wow.
And the Parramatta Church did a concert, and I remember you doing the altar call. You shared your story. That's where I heard your story for the first time. Tremendous story, Alex.
Wow.
And you preached the altar call, and I just a guy who speaks well. Just the altar call, so profound, so gifted and anointed. And I'm thinking, man, what a guy you. And that's why we're having you on here
because I can't speak properly. If you haven't noticed, we need someone to balance this all out a little
Not
bit.
only that, we need help, bro.
Just fake it till you make it, fellas, honestly.
But yeah.
Was that the concert where you got up to rap before you cleaned yourself up?
I think so.
And the MC kept on telling you no curse words. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Oh,
Were you cursing?
Yeah, I was cursing.
That was the first time I met you, bro.
That's right. Yeah.
And you had to rethink your rap in your head. Man, how do I rap without cursing?
Wow.
I remember I was blank, and then one of the guys approached me from our youth committee at the time, and he said, "Hey, can you just stop swearing?"
Just tone it down a little.
Yeah. So I was like my own radio editor. So what a try hard.
Wow.
Thanks for remembering.
Good memory there, man.
I do remember that.
Oh, man.
I thought it was creative, man. Thinking on the fly.
Yeah.
Difficult to do.
Oh, for sure. Have you ever? Were you ever a public speaker? Or did you develop into that role over time? As a Christian?
I guess I developed into that. I was school captain in Year 12.
Yeah, cool. Wow.
I guess I was always confident in front of people.
Yeah.
But behind closed doors, before before Christ changed me, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I always had quite a confident personality, even when I was young.
Yeah.
Being a kid, my parents always told me that, my disadvantages never limited me and all that sort of stuff. But behind closed doors, man, I questioned life hard.
And for
I questioned myself.
people listening out there, what is your disadvantages?
Where does the list start? No, not at all. Because you probably can't see at the moment because I'm sitting down, but I'm short-statured. I'm a dwarf.
Yeah.
The medical term is achondroplasia.
Okay.
Which means I have a reasonable sized torso. That's why when we're sitting down, I'm sort of the same height as you guys.
Yep.
But my arms and legs are shorter. So as a kid, man, that's hard to process.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny that I had such a confident personality.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, behind closed doors and to my parents, and when I was alone, I questioned myself. I questioned my worth.
Mm-hmm.
I questioned life. I questioned God,
Yeah.
But in front of people, I was always a larrikin. My brother and I always got along.
So you were trying to just cover up by being like over... what's that word?
Overconfident?
Kind of like overconfident.
Charismatic.
Yeah, over charismatic.
yeah.
That's the word there. See, I told you I couldn't speak properly.
and could you attribute that to you? I mean, I suppose everyone does have a different personality. Oh, we know that. But can you attribute the facilitation of that personality through your parents, or what were your influences back in those days?
Yeah, it must have been through my parents because ever since I was a kid, I was very outgoing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Outgoing was the word I was looking for.
But charismatic also works because I think you're 100% right, Vu, that especially when I became a teenager,
Yeah.
and image was everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's
And like most people on this earth, acceptance is everything.
yeah.
And when you feel that you're not getting it, you'll do anything to get it. And you know, I definitely was over charismatic because I was trying to hide this hurt in my heart. I was trying to hide this this pain, and not that I ever wanted anyone to feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
Man,
probably the last thing that you want.
I hated it when people felt sorry for me. Don't ever feel sorry for me. Just tell me that I can, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess that goes out to anybody. Everyone's got some sort of disadvantage. You know, I don't think it's right for anyone to point at someone else and say, oh, look at their disadvantage. It's like, well, what's my disadvantage? You know, what's holding me back? Whoever you are in the world. Whatever upbringing, whatever skin color, whatever nationality, whatever disability, ability, you know, whatever it is.
Oh, for sure.
I think for everyone can relate to that search for acceptance.
For funny you speak about that, you know, as for myself, you know, if you can't see it, or the listeners, you know, I'm 75%. My body is tattooed, you know, and you know, I think I can understand where you're coming from, where you're trying to, you know, you're trying to be, you know, I was trying to be this big tough guy, you know, with all these tattoos.
Yeah, the more
on me.
tattoos, the more tough you look.
Yeah, you know, or whatever. But yeah, I know that it's not true now. But you know, I was trying to just be something that I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know. And yeah, man. It was just crazy.
I don't know. You guys tell me. Like, I guess that was birthed inside of me because I had this disadvantage, but it just came to a point where I wasn't going to let that become a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure we're going to touch on it later, but I almost came to the end of myself before realizing that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of times people don't realize it till they get to the end of the road.
Definitely agree.
What did you guys experience? Obviously that search for acceptance.
You know.
For one thing, for me, it was rap music.
Yeah.
So in the previous session, I was talking about me getting into rap music at an early age, and like with you guys, I wanted to be someone who I clearly wasn't. Wanted to be a gangster, and build up a story and a reputation to say that I've done this, I've been here and done that, where in reality, I haven't. And again, being someone that you're not makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you insecure, makes you, well, for me personally, just a bit awkward. And now an outcast, what else are you going to do other than be yourself?
You know, for me as well. You know, I was always trying to be that big bad guy.
Yeah.
That you see in the movies. You know, and I slowly throughout the years I became that, and looking back now, you know, it's landed me into situations and places that, man, I look back and I said, man, thank God I'm still alive.
No, for sure.
For sure.
Thank God I'm still alive, man.
I often say to people, I would hate to think where I'd be today if Christ didn't change my life.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, so many times people are like, you know, why are you a Christian? How do you know God's real? Man, I just look at my life. God doesn't have to show me anything else other than the change inside me, and I know it's God. I can't contribute that to my own doing or my own efforts.
I always say to people, man, I wish I gave my life to Christ when I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have gone through all that other rubbish that I went through, you know.
19 birthdays in church.
Yeah, instead of 19 birthdays in prison. You know? But yeah, man, it's looking back, and so much time was wasted, man.
Yep.
So much time.
And that's a killer for a lot of people, man. I mean, I think everyone can relate to that. Looking back with a sense of regret will just eat away at you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a parent, whether you try to make money in career, whether you try to be someone that you're not and you never really made it.
Yeah.
Or you're just looking back and you think, man, I just wasted my time, or I just headed down roads I should have never headed down. And, you know, us three are constantly talking to people, right? Down on the streets and meeting new people almost every day. And people are filled with regret.
Yeah.
And I say, man, unfortunately, we can't rewrite the past,
Yeah.
No, heck no.
but God can write your
man.
future.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. And it's no doubt a decision that we're going to have to make.
Absolutely.
Whether we just sulk ourselves in that regret or just make a change. And it's a radical paradigm shift. Being, and I'm sure you've regretted things in the past. What were the steps and the decisions that you had to make to sort of get out of that cycle? Or maybe even as a Christian, knowing that you had regrets in your life, did that discourage you? Did that deter you away from certain things? And what were some of the people or things that cause you just to keep going?
Yeah.
pressing
An example.
on.
Yeah.
Pressing on.
I mean, before I became a Christian,
Yeah.
fear really was my prison.
Okay.
You talk about a physical prison, Vu, 19 birthdays. Well, I did 14 birthdays in a prison called fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my main regret.
Yeah.
That I didn't live life to the fullest because I was trapped by fear.
Yeah.
I always thought I could never be, or, you know, my family will never be like them, or my future will never be as good as someone else's. And I was trapped in this prison called fear.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a self-esteem, low self-esteem, would you call it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it anything fear specific?
It was the future.
Okay.
So you
Future for
couldn't
my-
see a future.
For my life, for my wife, for my kids.
Yeah.
Is there a future?
Yeah.
You know, I was so self-focused, which was foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now looking back, but
Yeah.
at the time, man, I was blinded, and I
Yeah.
thought this is the way it's gonna be, and unfortunately, by the age of 14, I headed down roads that I should have never headed down, and you know, I can't be more thankful to God that He saved me before
Yeah.
anything else happened. By the age of 14, I was had suicidal thoughts. I was experimenting with drugs and loved to get drunk because it numbed the pain.
Yeah.
And I started coming to the realization that maybe this life isn't for me.
How you know how much it struck out for me is this number 14, this age 14.
Really?
See how many? Yeah, I was about 14. Jackson, just the other guess was about 14.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, where you started your first taste of rebellion to someone.
No. But when your mind starts to shift
Okay.
in different directions.
Yep. It's a very defining age.
Yeah, it is. And isn't man? It's and it's a lot of people, a lot of young people at the ages when I think that's where their paths get.
Do you remember from in gangs and so forth? Is it that age that kids start to join gangs and start to affiliate themselves with those crowds?
Well, roughly
being one?
it's 13, 14, 15 around that group. That group
Because
there.
they probably wanted to find a sense of belonging
Yep.
right at that age.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be their own man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, about 14, man, and I think that's when when your brain starts to develop a little bit more or something, man.
Yeah, and I
don't
think
know.
it's probably at that age that you start to take some risks.
Yeah.
You know, you start experimenting.
Yep.
You start following people you may not have followed previously.
It's the transition to adulthood.
Yeah.
It is, and for
At that
parents, it's
age.
scary because 14
Yeah.
is young, man.
Yeah,
14
13,
is
14. That's high school years.
man. I look at
From
kids.
primary to high school.
I look at kids in our church that are 14. I think, man, thank God you're in church.
Oh, for sure.
But man, you're young, you're immature, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's not the case out in the world.
Yeah.
They're taken advantage of. They're searching for hope. They're searching for truth. They're searching for that identity and acceptance.
Yeah, man. Anyway, yeah. So getting back to it, you started going through an age of transition, and you couldn't couldn't see your life going anywhere,
Yeah, that fear of the future.
your fear of the future, yeah, how did you start to deal with it?
Well, it was in that defining age of 14. I was Googling
Googling.
how to commit suicide in the best possible way.
Come on, man.
My parents loved me so much.
These terrorists want to Google up how to find bombs. That's insane.
My parents loved me. My friends loved me.
It's heavy, man.
So I didn't want to do it in a nasty way, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted it to seem like I fell asleep and never woke up again.
Gee whiz, wow.
At 14. Wow.
But
Wow.
thankfully, man, God's got a plan. Because my brother was always my partner in crime. He's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
He was, obviously his mates were older than my mates. So, and this over charismatic personality that I developed,
Yeah.
I very quickly became friends with his friends. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're older than my friends and so forth. So they're doing things that my friends aren't doing yet and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
So you just joined that crew.
yeah. And it's funny, the relationship with my brother was interesting because at home, we fought like cat and dog, man. We fought a lot. Some would
Yeah.
even say we despised each other or hated each other. But man, outside of the home, I always knew that my brother had my back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember so many times people would either pick on me or tease me because of my height.
Yeah.
And man, my brother was right there. And he was just like daring people to make fun of me.
Yeah.
You
just,
know,
so
and-
he could just
yeah.
beat him up.
But he loved me, man.
Yeah.
And I always knew it. As much as we fought,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew that he loved me. My parents loved me. They divorced when I was 6.
Yeah.
So that's another reason where I'm instantly thinking, oh, you know, I'm so different to everybody else and a broken home. But man, there was no doubt that my parents loved me. My dad loved me so much. He always did everything he could for us. We lived with mum.
Yeah.
Man, she was a single mum working multiple jobs. And so just that you know, perspective on my life was warped.
Yeah.
And then my brother steps into a church, and I think, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, I thought there was 2 things going on.
The
He was-
influencer.
yeah, that's right.
He's got-
All of a sudden, my partner in
Hey,
crime,
what
the guy,
happened?
yeah, the guy that I look up to, I thought there's 2 things that he's doing right here.
Yeah.
He's either trying to steal the girl out of the church
Or steal the money.
or steal money out of the church. And to my surprise, it was neither of those 2 options.
Yeah.
And yeah, very quickly he started talking about Jesus and
Yeah.
God, and you know, and I would say to him, man, we know what happens in churches, and you know,
Yeah. So you're
But-
still skeptical.
extremely skeptical
Yeah.
because my brother and I, you know, my mum did her best, and she would drag us along to churches, and we would look around and think, man, these people aren't like us. These people have it all together, you know.
Yeah.
So it was first mum and your brother.
Hey.
So it was first mum and your brother who came to church.
Yeah, so my brother started going, and then, but I couldn't deny the change in his life.
Yep.
His words changed very quickly, and I was like, nah, that he'll be back.
Yeah.
And his mates were asking me, Alex, you know, what's going on with your brother? Then he's not talking to us anymore, blah, blah, blah. he's hanging out with those church kids, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
my brother was 16 at the time. We were still at school.
Yeah.
But the thing is that his actions spoke louder than his words.
Yeah.
And he left all that mess behind, really.
Yeah.
And he started talking to me saying, you know, going back to your question, what was the change? He started saying to me, Alex, what do you have to lose? Like, what if God can change your life? What if Jesus does have a plan for you?
Yeah.
The way you are. What if he created you the way you are for a purpose?
Yeah.
And man, those questions started to haunt me.
Wow.
Like, instead of looking at my life like I'm a mistake,
Yeah.
I started to think, what if this is all for a purpose? And I was specifically created like this
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, man, the flip in my perspective changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was still extremely skeptical.
Yeah.
And then I remember some of those church kids I was friends with at school through sporting teams and so forth, and they invited me to a church service, or they invited me to a concert scene, a music scene. And went to the church, stood up the back, And to be honest, I hated it. The people were nice, man. People were nice. The music was okay.
It was okay. You didn't have the moose there. That's
Yeah.
why. You had the black
right.
moose
The
there.
black
It would have
moose
been,
wasn't
man,
around back
would have
then.
been
Nah, it
pumping.
And I was looking around at the people in the church thinking, man, these people have it together. Like, these people
Yeah.
don't know what it is to live a life like I'm living.
Yeah.
Little did I know
Yeah.
that, man, the church is filled with stories of change. you
Oh,
know?
for sure.
And then when people start to tell you their past, you're like, no way, you're like,
insane.
19 birthdays in jail. You're
Yeah.
kidding me, man. Like, you know, and I started to really think maybe God can do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember one church service, the preacher says, you know, if you want God to change your life,
Yeah.
put up your hand.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I have to lose? If this God, if this Jesus that my brother's talking about is real,
Yeah.
so be it. Let's bring on change, because I hated my life.
Yeah.
But if it's not real, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. I didn't really have a plan B. And thank God, June 2002, at the age of 14,
2002.
Whoa.
changed my life, never looked back.
Wow, that's amazing.
How old are you now?
32.
32.
Oh, wow.
I've just kicked 30
Was it?
last month. Yeah. 2002.
I was still in prison.
So you mentioned sports.
Yeah.
What was the sports that you were doing?
I was very... This search for acceptance
Yeah.
led me to join a basketball team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a short-statured basketball team. So
Yeah.
basically, to put it in everyday terms, a dwarf basketball team.
Yeah.
You know, people think about that, and it seems quite funny, but it was a place where I found acceptance. It was a place where the odds were even.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I just met a network of people that were going through similar things that I was going through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found that I was quite talented in basketball, and I just joined the basketball teams, and we started versing different states like New South Wales versus Victoria. And then I got the opportunity to travel to America and represent Australia in the first ever short-statured basketball team
Wow.
for Australia.
And that was in your teens?
That was in my teens.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that was literally about 6 months before I started coming to church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was almost like I got to experience that and everything that offered.
Yeah.
And then when I stepped into church, I started to weigh up. If I continue down this, I know what it's going to bring. If I continue down this road, I know what that's going to bring. And it was very easy for me to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I traveled to America, represented Australia. I was fully sponsored, loved it, once in a lifetime opportunity. But it's funny because, not to take away from that experience, that team and the guys that I met in that team really supported me, really gave me a sense of confidence and self-worth. But when I became a Christian and when I started networking with people in the church, it was a difference, man. It was a difference that it's not because of us that we have this confidence, right?
Yeah.
It's because what Christ has done for us and the value that Christ has put on our life. And that was just a different way of thinking. But yeah, in terms of sports, played basketball. I played indoor soccer and soccer. I love sports, man. I when I was at school, I put my hand up for everything.
Yeah.
For some reason, they never picked me for rugby. I don't know. These days, I probably, shout discrimination, but all good. I'm not bitter or anything.
Yeah.
There's no PC here, man. See that? Now, going back to the public speaking.
Yeah.
What was take us to, what was the first opportunity as far as, I don't know, whether hosting an event, hosting a concert, or street preaching? How was that opportunity? And I'm sure you're hooked at it now.
Yeah.
Take us.
Yeah, it's funny because you have one language that you speak before you come to church.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
we spoke about earlier when you were the first time I met you, Blake, and you had to change your language on the fly
Wow.
mid rap verse.
Yeah.
There's a different language that we start
Yeah.
talking, right?
Yeah.
We speak clean. We don't curse.
Yeah.
We don't talk about immoral things.
Yeah.
And when I got these opportunities to speak to people,
Yeah.
it started at a one-on-one level. We talk about public speaking.
Yeah. So
Public speaking to me is speaking in the public. Like, go down to your local mall,
and talk
train station,
Yeah.
and talk to the people, and that's where public speaking starts.
Yeah.
That's right.
Strangers that
Respect.
you have no clue about, you have to find some sort of common ground. You
Yeah.
engage with them, and that's where it started. And then, our church does a bit of street preaching. So I remember the first time I street preached, man, I babbled on. I didn't even know what I was saying.
Yeah.
I wish someone
feel you
filmed.
there.
I wish someone filmed it so we could
Same.
rewatch it, right? And then but it's just it's steps you take, and God definitely refined that art form and that personality that He put in me when I was a kid. I truly believe 100% with all my heart, God created me the way I am for a purpose. So this over charismatic, this charisma that we spoke about earlier,
Yeah.
God put that in there.
Yeah.
I was just playing up with the talent that God gave me.
Yeah.
But God put it in there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, because now that I'm walking in God's purposes,
Yeah.
I 100% can see why God has created me the way I am.
Yeah.
So from the streets, I got opportunity to be school captain at my high school, talking in front of hundreds of kids. I went down to Canberra, spoke at Parliament House.
Yeah.
They had all the school captains from around Australia went down there. They had like a leadership sort of event, and spoke down there, and then got the opportunity to start preaching and doing my story at churches. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, just the sky is the limit with God, man. That's what
That's
I
right,
found.
man. That's exactly right.
I mean, the world can promise you so much, but at the end of the day, it delivers so little.
yeah.
Absolutely.
The sky is the absolute limit, man, with God. And, what we think we can become, God's got so much more beyond that. Like, we can't even... I'm sure the three of us sitting right here, right now, it's only a few years ago. For me, it's like 20 years ago. But only a few years ago, before we started coming to church, no way could we imagine that the three of us would be sitting doing a live podcast
Not at all.
talking about how God has changed our lives and the heart that we have for people.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. Did you ever imagine that you guys would be sitting here?
Nah.
Heck no.
Moose would probably be my cellmate.
Sharing raps.
No, absolutely
different boxes.
not, man. And it's a trip. It's an absolute trip where you see, man, where God is, man. I can't even speak properly. Yeah, I'm on a podcast. I do a bit of public speaking. I go out there. I share my story as well. Share of what God has done in my life. And man, not in a million years, man. I look back and man, God used a bum like me, a scumbag like me, that spent 20 years in prison, man. Man, anything's possible. Man.
It's basically it's what God has done in our lives. We want to see it done in others, and we just
And
want
that's
to
why we
what-
do the things we do, right?
Absolutely, just for the love for God and for people.
Yeah.
I guess we just want to show people that He's real, man.
Yeah.
Like, hundreds of times before I started going to church, I heard the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
My mum, she put us into a Christian school. We hated it, man.
Yeah.
And it's one thing hearing about it. It's a completely different thing experiencing it.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
this one thing that my brother said to me, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
I constantly say it to people.
That speaks wonders.
What do you have to lose? If God is real, He will change your life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you give it a go? What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Take that step. Take that step, man.
Everyone's got their own story, man.
Yeah.
And when I first started coming to church and really started to meet the people, and I thought, man, these people have it all together, clean cut, good-looking clothes and, hair put together.
Yeah.
And they start to tell me, like, 20 years in jail. And I remember one guy, he was in the Navy, in and out of mental institutions.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's a pastor of a
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, we've got to have him on.
He's good,
Yeah, we're getting him on.
He's got a
Yeah, we're
He's
getting him
got
on.
gorgeous kids. He's man, a pastor of a church, clean cut.
Yeah.
But man, he has a rough past, man.
Yeah, very.
But that testifies of the change that God can do in any life.
Any life, absolutely.
And then we're talking about my best mate, this Pastor Josh Walsh. He's clean cut, man. It's just funny the difference in people that come to Christ.
Yeah.
You get
All walks of life.
the
all
worst
walks
of the worst and
yeah.
the best of the best. You don't have to come to yourself before you realize I need God.
That's
Yeah.
right. You need it.
Absolutely, man.
Is there anything that you want to say to all the listeners out there?
But
Some-
hang on. Now, I heard you were recently married.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he is.
How long were you? How long you been married now, man?
I got married February 2019.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks for the invite. Hey, I must have missed it.
Maybe
Did
check
you get
your-
the invite? Did
check
you-
your-
oh, well, let me
I
check
saw
my emails, you know.
I saw the proposal through the WhatsApp.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
proposal photos through the WhatsApp, man. How
Absolutely.
how's
so
that going, man?
absolutely happy for you, man.
Absolute miracle,
Happily
man.
married now.
That's what God can do for you. I found the woman of my dreams, man. And she is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me other than Christ changing my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And man, just so thankful. And that's a miracle in itself because, many times in church, people get married young. And I was 31 when I got married.
Yeah.
Which, is young.
Yeah.
But in the church, it can seem like you're a little bit
Older than I was.
older than
That's
people.
not me, man. I'm 38. I'm not married, man. Anyone out there? No, just kidding.
You won't find it online.
I just put a plug
Find
on
it online,
myself.
bro.
And I just watched all my mates get married and live out their fairy tales
Yeah.
and have kids and all that sort of stuff. And man, I thought it's so nice for them.
Yeah.
It's so nice for them. And these are the challenges that I guess you begin to realize that once you accept Christ, once Christ changes your life, it's the greatest thing that will ever happen to you. But there's still
Anything's possible.
things that you need to go through.
Yeah.
You still have to process life.
Yeah.
My pastor constantly says life is not it's not about what happens to you, but it's about how you process what happens to you.
Yeah.
And I'm 31. I'm still not married. I'm short statured, which means I'm thinking, girls,
Yeah. So these were the issues that you were dealing with when you were 14. When you say, I remember you saying that.
Yep.
How am I going to live a normal life? Am I going to get married? All this doubt,
Yep.
and fast forward, years later on,
Yeah.
man, no doubt anymore, is it? Through Christ, there's no doubt anymore.
And what I've come to realize now that Christ has changed me, saved me, set me free, is not if, but when.
Yeah, it's all in
And-
God's timing.
Yeah.
God's timing, God's promises. If God has promised,
Yeah.
you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to happen, man.
Yeah,
The Bible is filled with promises of God.
yeah,
And it's not, watching someone else get blessed or someone else get a miracle or someone else see some sort of breakthrough or favor or success and think, no, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
That's their story.
But if you keep your heart right, man, that's their story. The Bible talks about running your own lane,
yeah.
What happens to Black Moose might not happen to me, might not happen to Vu, but we all have our own race to run,
yeah. Exactly.
And that's very true outside of the church. It's very true inside the church. We all have our race to run, and we need to find that out. What does God have for my life? What is the purpose? Like, for me being short, obviously you guys didn't have to deal with that, but for me, I had to come to that realization. I had to ask those questions. God, why did you create me this way?
Yeah,
Why did I go through what I went through? And now it's become clear.
yeah,
And like Vu just said, I've been in church for 20 years or so, but there's still things that you have to process, right?
yeah. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
My father passed away last year,
Wow.
and he was in Uruguay in South America. My number one prayer was that he would come to know Christ the way I knew Christ.
Yeah.
My entire life, he never came to church.
Yeah.
He loved me. He supported me and my brother to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But he basically said, you know what, boys, that's good for you.
It's not for me.
That's not for me.
Yeah.
My father got really sick, man, and I said, Dad, it may be soon that you're going to meet your maker.
Yeah.
I want you to be right with him before you meet him. And, you know, back and forth.
And was this over the phone?
Over the phone,
Wow.
I couldn't go see him, and man,
There's so much you can do.
my heart was breaking because I thought I don't want my father to step into eternity without him
Yeah.
Yeah.
experiencing the love of God, but being set free from
Yeah.
what was holding him captive. And doctors basically said he was getting so sick that they were going to put him in an induced coma, and they weren't sure whether he was going to come out of it.
Yeah, wow.
And that was the final straw. My brother and I jumped on the phone. Dad, this is it. This could be the last time. And I think he started realizing, you know what? Life is extremely frail.
Yeah.
I know my dad, as confident as he was, as broad-shouldered as he was, he struggled with regret.
Yeah.
He wanted to provide for us. He wanted to be everything that a father should be. And, life didn't turn out the way he had planned.
Yeah.
And it's okay that it didn't turn out the way he planned.
Yeah.
I never doubted that my father didn't love me, but my number one dream, my number one prayer in life was that my dad would get saved and experience the love of Christ. And it was just before he went into an induced coma. I basically said the words that my brother said to me, Dad, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
If God is real, he will save you and set you free. And my father, right there with an honest heart, said, son, pray for me.
Wow.
Amazing.
Amazing, man.
Set me free. So my father got saved. He then passed away. Man, his passing was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's funny, the Bible says that you can have a peace that surpasses all understanding.
Just about to say, I was just about to talk peace.
Man, this peace that I have in my heart, and
Know that he's going to heaven.
man, my father getting saved and now in heaven, waiting for me.
Yeah.
I prayed when he passed away. I prayed, God, make a room for me up there. Get my house ready up there, my mansion, my whatever it is.
Yeah.
Knowing that I'm going to see him one day.
Yeah.
And that's a miracle and a promise
That's
that I held on to. Getting married to the woman of my dreams was a miracle and a promise that I held on to.
That's right.
Doesn't say that it was an easy walk the whole time, because man, sometimes you struggle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, is it going to happen to me?
Yeah.
And it's so far out of my control. My father being on the other side of the world is so far out of my control that I had to give it to God.
Yeah. God always pays up, eh?
God always comes through, man.
It's got it covered.
One of my favorite quotes that I heard from a preacher was, when I can't see the hand of God, I trust the heart of God.
Yeah. Wow.
Sometimes I can't see God's hand at work. As Christians, man, we bring a shopping list of prayers to God. I'm
Yeah.
sure you fellas can agree, right?
I've got a garbage truck full.
Garbage truck.
Man, we're like, God, help me
shopping
with
list.
help me with this. And there's a lot of times that we can't directly see God moving,
Yeah.
but we trust that he is moving.
That's right.
Yeah.
We trust his heart. We trust the promises. And man, God has come through time and time and time again in my life. And the reason why I have such a confidence now, going back to public speaking,
Yeah.
is I know without a shadow of a doubt what God can do in someone else's life because of what he's done in my life.
Yeah.
100%. And people say, nah, that's your story, man. You got given those opportunities. I'm not that way. Nah, I used to say exactly the same thing. I know what God can do in your life because I know what he did in mine.
That's it, man. Should call this a sesh.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you
Man,
so much
that
for coming out, man.
Appreciate it, fellas.
That is amazing. We got to put that. You can't see the hand of God. You can see the heart of God.
Trust the heart of God.
Trust the heart of God. That's an amazing quote.
Man,
Man, so edifying, so encouraging.
God's
Thanks
good,
again.
man.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, bro.
Yeah.
Fellas, I appreciate it. You guys have a star-studded cast on this show. I've been watching you guys ever since you started, so
No, I appreciate it.
honoured that you guys had me on.
Nice.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for more, yeah? Follow us, like, share, and subscribe. This is Vu. I'm the Black Moose. This is the Moose Vu Sesh signing out.
Ow!
I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet. I'ma bounce back like a ricochet.